Hey everybody, welcome to the Fire Up with CJ show. Today we have Mindy Gorman Plutzer and we're talking about her book, The Freedom Promise. And we're going to be talking about some nutrition tips, but kind of some unconventional way of thinking about nutrition. So welcome, Mindy.
Hi, CJ. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here with
It's
you.
great having you here. And one of the things I loved about your book and that I want to talk about is the how, why, and when we eat. I think there are a lot of books out there with respect to what we eat. Don't eat a ton of, processed carbs. Don't, eat fresh. Eat fresh vegetables, fruit, and lean protein. But there's not a lot with respect to how we eat, why we eat, and when we eat, which I think are some of the most critical questions. And in fact, you do in your book, you do actually address what we eat. But for me, the thing that was so interesting was just the how, why, and when. So I wanted to talk to you a little about that,
Yes.
how we eat. And sadly, I'm a really bad example of how we eat because I was rushing around right before the show, eating, reading the newspaper, running to the grocery store, coming back, probably doing all the things that you recommend in your book not to do. But tell us about how we eat and how that affects us.
Okay. Well, first of all, what you're describing is so typical of most of us today.
Hmm.
We're overscheduled, we're overbooked, we're overstressed. So, what the Freedom Promise is about is yes, we need to look at what we eat. That's always important. But the how, why, and when relate to who we are as eaters.
Mm,
Who are you when you sit down at the table? If you even sit down at the table,
right.
maybe you're eating in the car, maybe you're eating at your desk. Is the computer on? Do you have a pile of magazines? Are you catching up on the phone? Multitasking has become something to be valued, but where is the value in that when it comes to integrity of self?
Mm, mm. So how does it affect our nutrition? So that one of the things I thought was interesting is I never thought that how we eat would actually affect the nutritional value of what we
Okay.
eat.
It's so multifaceted, and I really want to be careful because I get so excited about it and I have such passion about it that you might need to reel me in.
Okay, I will,
Uh,
if need be.
you read the book. You
Hmm.
know that the theme of the book not only is that diets don't work, but the theme of the book is letting go. The reason diets don't work is because the diet mentality, the thinking of a person on a diet is that they need to be good. They need to show restraint. We're in a society where restraint is something that's relished.
Hmm.
Any idea of finding pleasure from food comes with a dose of guilt.
Yeah. Oh, this dessert's gonna go right to my thighs. I've heard that 1,000 times with my
Yeah,
girlfriends.
or just the whole concept of any food that brings us pleasure means that we're indulging.
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay? That's not the way it's supposed to be. So, years and years and years of those messages, plus we have a $60 billion diet industry that has us believing we can't be trusted to know what's good for our bodies.
Hmm.
Okay, so all of these messages lead to us feeling guilty and lead to us being stuck with these thoughts in our heads.
Right. So every thing of whipped cream is like I feel so bad, but I can't stop myself from eating this delicious coconut cream pie or whatever it is that you're eating. So if we weren't filled with guilt and shame while we're eating, well, first of all, what's the problem with eating with guilt and shame?
Okay, but what I want to say is that the eating with guilt and shame, the eating on the run, the the eating while worrying about what we're eating, the
Right.
eating while worrying where the food's going to end up,
Right.
believe it or not, puts us in a stress response.
Hmm.
Okay, so now let's talk about stress. Stress is any threat that is perceived by our bodies. Now, our bodies are designed to be brilliant, brilliant mechanisms. So we meet stress, whether it's, a predator back from prehistoric times or it's the brownie
Right.
that we want to eat.
Danger, danger, brownie coming.
Yeah, or, more seriously, there's money issues, relationship
Right.
issues, healthcare issues, our parents get sick. There are definitely issues that bring us stress, okay? So we go into stress mode. Our brains act like a smoke detector. They sense the stress. They send out messages to the central nervous system to release hormones. Those hormones being cortisol and insulin.
Hmm.
And then there's a whole bunch of brain chemicals, dopamine, norepinephrine, and I don't want to bore the listeners with the science of it. But basically, what happens is everything shuts down in our bodies except the need to run. Okay,
Hmm.
so we go into this fight or flight mode.
Hmm.
Right? That is supposed to stop after 4 minutes. That's what it's designed to be. And after 4 minutes, we take a deep breath. We see that everything is okay. We go on with our day. The body returns to normal. When we're in constant stress response, from constantly worrying about what we're eating, constantly worrying about the extra pounds, and constantly being bombarded with the external stressors that we are related to, we don't digest, we don't assimilate nutrients, and our metabolism, the rate at which we're burning calories, seriously decreases.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay, so CJ, the truth is that we could be eating the healthiest diet on earth, as you described in that email you sent about how well you ate and it
Hmm.
was such a great day, and lo and behold, you didn't get the results you expected. Okay, the healthiest diet on earth can become a nutritional wasteland when we are living in this prolonged chronic stress response.
Yeah.
So, back to my original statement that I wanted to make, the book is not about dieting. The book is about
Mm.
letting go of those toxic and false beliefs about what food will do to us,
Hmm.
letting go of the diet mentality of what food will do to us,
Hmm.
letting go of the toxic dietary myths, letting go of the need to grab onto the latest fad diet that might not be right for your body.
Hmm.
So it's letting go, but at the same time, everything comes down to listening to what our bodies want, including
Hmm.
our bodies, your body, my body, next door neighbor's body, all different,
Hmm.
into the conversation of what is right for that individual.
Hmm. Well, here's the thing that I found interesting because of course, I've read your book, The Freedom Promise, and I woke up this morning and I thought, well, what do I really want? And I thought, I actually want something sweet. So I thought, well, I got a little, it's probably not super nutritionally great, but I ate like a little bar with almonds in it and a little bit of sugar, had like 6 grams of sugar, not a lot. And it was just the best thing ever. And I thought to myself, okay, I'm not going to feel guilty about eating this bar. Whereas before I would have, I thought, I'm just going to really, really enjoy the like almonds and the little chili paste in here and the little Thai basil. I mean, this was the most incredible
Wow.
bar ever. But I thought, wow, this is really a different way of eating. And you know what? When I was chewing very mindfully, because I talked to a friend of mine who just been to Miraval, and she was saying that with each bite, she takes a bite and then puts her fork down and picks a bite, and it's like really eating mindfully and slowly. So I was really trying to taste all the flavors. I was really trying to be mindful about the textures, the flavors, and just loving like whatever that bar was all about. And there is a sense of satiety that happens that you don't get when you're just walking and eating. I could have eaten
Absolutely.
that bar in a completely different way, and I wouldn't have felt a sense of fullness and just happiness from eating that.
No question. No question. And you were aware of your fullness.
Yes, I was, because it was a happiness too. I really got happy from it sounds stupid, but I was really happy after eating that.
But that is fantastic. So when you're happy like that, when your body is feeling pleasure like that, your metabolism is soaring.
Yeah. How
So
come? Why is that? How does it work? So it's like you're.
because you're in relaxation response.
Ah, okay. It's the
Pleasure,
opposite of the stress part.
pleasure equals relaxation.
Mm,
And when we're in that relaxation response, that's where the healing begins.
mm,
One of the greatest tricks, for lack of a better term, that you can do for your body in terms of incorporating relaxation into your day, whether it be at the table or anywhere else, would be to take some deep breaths. Deep, conscious cleansing breaths will actually send a signal to your central nervous system that your body is relaxed.
right. So it's saying, calm down. There's no tiger chasing you. That brownie is not evil. Just
Right.
calm down and eat it. One of the things I can't remember the exact quote, but it was like, it said something in your book of, when you're eating the brownie and feeling completely guilty about it, you're doubly harming yourself, right? Because you're shaming
Absolutely.
and guilting yourself. And then you're also, actually probably doing exactly what you thought the brownie would do, which is, stay on you in terms of fat and
No
whatever.
question. And another piece to the how we eat, not only is the mindfulness important in terms of tuning in
Hmm.
to hunger and fullness cues, but good food, whole food, the kind of food that we hope to be eating, is very high energy. It's alive,
Hmm.
okay? So there's that whole law of attraction
Mm.
piece involved too, um, where for me it becomes almost spiritual
Mm.
because good energy attracts good energy. So if we're sitting down to eat a meal and we're sending out loving vibes, we're receiving the loving vibes from that food.
Mm.
If we're sitting down to a meal worried about what this dreaded array of food is going to do to our bodies, we're going to get that karma.
Mm. That's interesting. I never thought about that in that way. You know what, I think about that when I'm cooking, because I had talked to Cynthia Lair, who's a cooking teacher around here, and she talks about cooking the food and love into the food. And so when I'm stirring, I'm saying love, 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 and I'm kind of trying to send love into the food. But I never thought about when you're eating, if you do think about love, you're kind of getting that back in the food. I've never thought about that. That's fascinating.
Another great piece with this is the concept of clearing the clutter.
Mm-hmm.
That's a concept that, comes up a lot in my health coaching practice.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that leads to the eating psychology. But, clearing the clutter of our lives makes room for the new to come in.
Mm-hmm.
The analogy would be cleaning out your closet,
Mm-hmm.
getting rid of what no longer serves you,
Right.
you know, um, throwing out what doesn't fit, what's out of style.
Right.
And now there's room for all the great new things that you can have.
So what would that mean from a food perspective? Are you saying clearing out your cabinets of food that aren't healthy for you, or just literally like looking at your desk and saying, this is creating clutter and probably creating energy in my body that's not helpful, or both? What did you mean
Well,
by cleaning clutter?
okay, I mean it in two ways. The clutter in our minds, the clutter of our thoughts, the clutter of the beliefs or the thoughts that morph into beliefs about our bodies and about
Ah,
what food will do. Okay? The other piece is we refer to in the health coaching business as crowding out.
hmm,
No one's asking you to eat less. I certainly will never ask you to eat less.
mm-hmm,
But what I would say is replace the poorer choices, the food that has less nutrient value, with food that is bursting with nutrients and color and aliveness
mm-hmm,
and freshness and
mm-hmm,
wholeness,
mm-hmm.
as opposed to the processed food that our bodies just don't know what to do with.
Mm. Okay, so I heard a couple different tips. One is to be mindful when you're eating so that you're really mindful of what your thoughts are doing. And so I'm hearing be mindful, which means don't stress, stressful eating is not good for your nutrition. It's not good for your metabolism. It's not good for a host of different things. So that you're harming yourself not only through the stress, but also you're not really getting the proper nutrition that you need. I'm hearing also to clear out the clutter is another thing. So clear out the clutter in your mind and then also physically just clearing out the clutter and then crowding out, making sure you crowd out kind of the things that aren't super nutritious and put in the stuff that's more kind of flavorful, colorful. Those are some how we could eat differently.
Okay. And then, to the actual mindful practice of eating.
Mm-hmm.
When you're sitting down at the table,
Uh-huh.
really ground yourself.
Mm.
Okay. And number one, make the atmosphere palatable. Okay. So
Okay.
you can really taste the goodness of the abundance in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You want to avoid triggering conversations. You want to avoid distracting noise. Music is great, conversation is great, as long as it makes you feel good.
Right.
And then you're sitting down. Hopefully, you set a beautiful table, dishes that make you feel great, and you're going to allow your mind to take in the sensory stimuli of the food. You're
Mm.
going to smell it. You're going to notice what happens when you bring it up to your mouth. What
Mm-hmm.
does it feel like in your mouth? What does it feel like when you chew it? How does the texture change? Is it salty? Is it sweet? Is it creamy? Is it crunchy? Swallow it. Pay attention to it actually going down your throat into your stomach. Make sure that you've swallowed that bite before you take another.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good one, isn't it?
Yeah, and slow down.
Mm-hmm.
Slowing down keeps us in relaxation and it allows us to focus on the food.
Mm.
Focusing on something other than the food doesn't give our minds the opportunity to realize it's there.
Mm-hmm.
Then what happens is, as I said, we're not digesting, so we might have nutrient deficiencies.
Mm-hmm.
If we're
Mm-hmm.
doing this enough, consistently, we're not assimilating the nutrients, we'll end up having cravings. You mentioned eating a bar before and how you ate it so mindfully. I hear this all the time from clients that, well, I don't want to eat a bar because it's gone before I know it. If
Mm-hmm.
they can eat it in 2 or 3 bites,
Yeah.
not taking the time to realize that they ate it. I have to tell you, I had a situation not too long ago. I had a tangerine at my desk and I was doing too many things at once, setting up for the day, turning on the computer, getting things started. And I looked and the tangerine was gone. I had no recollection of eating it. I was,
That's reassuring.
yeah, I was actually
Oddly.
on the floor for it. So I get it. I
Yeah.
really get it. So that's the how.
Yeah.
That's the how. Why and when. Um, let's talk about when before we talk
Okay.
about
All
why,
right.
because
When?
why is a really big piece if you don't
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about the
Okay.
when.
Okay. When we eat is very important because we want to be in sync with the biocircadian rhythms of our bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Again, our bodies are brilliantly designed mechanisms. Okay. And designed in such a way that when we wake up in the morning, we have a fairly fast metabolism,
Hmm.
ready to accept food,
Mm-hmm.
ready to know what to do with it.
Hmm.
Our metabolisms are the most efficient when the sun is highest in the sky.
Mm-hmm. That
So you
makes
think,
sense.
between noon and 2 o'clock,
Right.
all right? After that, all systems start slowing down,
Yeah.
okay? Culturally, we are, most of us, or certainly most chronic dieters, wake up in the morning in an effort to be good,
Right.
to restrict,
Right. I'm
okay?
going to eat a really small breakfast and
Yeah,
lunch, and then you're
show
starving by
restraint,
dinner. Yeah.
right? Show restraint,
Yeah.
right? Okay. So, could have maybe 100-calorie, sugar-free, fat-free yogurt for
Mm-hmm.
breakfast,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe one egg.
Mm-hmm.
Keep those calories down.
Right.
Lunchtime could be a salad, maybe some grilled chicken on it, but oh no, no olive oil,
Right.
just gonna
No
have
dressing
balsamic,
on the side. Like dressing on the
yeah,
side, please. Yeah.
or just balsamic vinegar,
Yeah.
is what I hear so often. Um, okay, so then what happens? 3 o'clock. You're starving.
Yeah.
So the kids come home from school and it's, the cookies and milk start. And
Yes.
so, you finish the snack, whether it be Doritos, cookies, whatever
That's so
might be
true.
going on in your house, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And know that those foods, again, are manufactured so that we can't stop at one.
Yeah. They're addictive. They're
They
like the
are
crack
addictive.
cocaine. They have the sugar, the fat, and the salt, which makes them highly addictive. We can't stop.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Or you're at work and you pass by a coworker's desk, or you go into the conference room and there, all those goodies. And it's really hard to say
Yeah.
no because you're genuinely hungry.
Yes.
Okay. Then we go home and we're stressed from the day for whatever reason. We finally sit down and relax. We might have a glass of wine, and we end up ingesting the majority of our calories towards the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not metabolizing efficiently. So that's why the when is so important.
Mm-hmm.
You
So
know,
in
one
some
of
ways we should be doing the opposite of that, eating a
Yeah.
bigger breakfast, a bigger lunch, and a smaller dinner. What does a smaller dinner even look like? I don't
Okay.
even know what that means.
Okay.
That's so sad, but I
I,
don't.
I want to reframe that. It
Okay.
doesn't have to be that it's a small dinner, CJ.
Yeah.
We just want to make sure that it's the least caloric. I mean, you
Uh,
could eat a huge salad, with
mm-hmm.
great things in it, vegetables, beans, lean protein. That would be phenomenal. An omelet makes a great dinner.
Mm-hmm.
A piece of grilled fish and some vegetables, and a small sweet potato, or a small serving of brown rice, or quinoa. I'm not prescribing any diet right now, but I'm
Right.
talking about when we're eating.
Yeah.
This is really important. One of the first things I do with my clients, one of the first tweaks that I usually need to make is to change the calorie ingestion during the day.
You mean
Because
when you eat certain calories?
yeah, most people in our society are calorie loading towards the end of the day when we are least prepared to metabolize
I
those
think I
calories.
even know my calorie counts. It would be if I, because I did a calorie counter for a while, and then I thought, this is making me crazy. I can't
Oh,
do this anymore. But when I did it, it was about 250 during the morning. It was about 300 to 300, 400 during lunch, and then 5 to 600 during dinner. That's basically what mine looked like, and that's working really hard. Um, so
and
what
those are
should it
very
be?
few calories to have as a total during the day.
Yeah, I know, but I was trying to lose weight. But even even in that case,
And did you?
I did. I did. I
Oh,
lost like, I don't know, 25 pounds during
all
that
right.
time. Yeah. But during that, what should it be? Like if we were, it was, if you were to take, that's approximately like almost 1,500 calories or so. But it's like, 20% of it during the morning, 30%, and then like the vast majority of it during the evenings. What would be the ideal distribution?
I would like to see you eat, 60 to 70% of your calories between morning and mid-afternoon.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
wow, that helps because it helps you kind of frame like, wow, that's a lot of calories actually.
Yeah. But as I said, it's not that dinner has to be small. It just has to be light.
Yeah,
High water content foods. That's why a salad is always great at dinner,
right.
with grilled chicken or a piece of fish, in the cooler months. Um, soup is great as a dinner with, something light, a side salad, or, a sweet potato,
Yeah. My kids are
depending.
unhappy when I cook that way, but I get it. I get it. So any other tips on when we should eat?
Okay, again, it goes back to listening to the wisdom of your body.
Mm-hmm.
We
Mm.
have the how,
Oh yeah.
okay, and the when. It's tuning in to our hungers,
Mm-hmm.
tuning in to our hungers as opposed to tuning out, which we do when we turn to food for comfort
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to nourishment.
Mm-hmm.
And that leads us to the why.
The why. Okay, so why we eat. And I think that this is I think for me, when I first thought about looking at my weight, the why was actually one of the most critical things because I was using eating as a way of compensating for either things that I didn't want to deal with or a sense of emptiness. And it was interesting because those are things that you said, in your book, whether it's emotional hunger or um, a craving, it's really not food that you're really
Correct.
craving, right?
Okay, but let's start with the physical hunger,
Yeah.
okay?
Okay.
Which I addressed a little bit when we were talking about the when.
Yeah.
Because, yes, absolutely. If we are in a restrictive mode and we are looking to diet and cut back on calories and we're not having a proper macronutrient balance in our day, meaning enough protein, enough carbohydrate, and enough fat for our bodies,
Hmm.
when it comes time for evening, that body is going to be asking for more.
Ah, it's
Okay.
physically hungry. It
So
needs
that
it needs
that
energy. Yeah.
that's a physical situation.
Okay.
Okay. So you're really hungry. So in cases like that, we need to step back and say, okay, did I eat enough today?
Mm,
Did I have enough protein? Did I have enough carbohydrate? Did I have enough fat? And unfortunately, many people do not have enough carbohydrate nor enough fat
mm-hmm.
in the day in an
Mm-hmm.
effort to get rid of some weight.
Right.
Okay. Right. Body needs fat. Body needs carbohydrate. That's really, really, really important. And of course, there are better quality proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. And that I address in the nutrition part of
Yes.
the book.
Yeah.
But if you notice, the nutrition part of the book is chapter 6 of 7,
Right.
because this is not a diet book. This is a learning to live your best life book in the body that you have.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's physical hunger. Emotional hunger happens when we are looking to food and looking outside of ourselves for something to fill us up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, when we're looking for a hug, when we're looking for a connection, when we're looking for protection. It
Mm-hmm.
can go two ways. Sometimes
Mm.
people overeat in an effort to put walls up to protect themselves,
Mm-hmm.
to keep the predators away.
Yeah.
Sometimes we overeat in an effort to be bigger, to carry the burdens that we feel we need to
Mm.
carry.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Weight, CJ, is really a symptom of underlying issues.
Mm-hmm.
Too much or too little. I want to include that too. You know,
Right.
because the book does speak to people who perhaps are not eating enough, who
Right.
perhaps are choosing to be or needing to be smaller than what is healthy.
Mm-hmm.
But it's
Mm-hmm.
it's all coming from the same place.
Right.
So the difference between emotional hunger and physical hunger is distinct. If you are experiencing a healthy hunger, a physical hunger,
Mm-hmm.
then you're going to be more flexible about what you can eat, because you're going to tune into the hunger. You're going to think about what you really want, and it's going to be okay. Yeah, sure, I can drink a glass of water and wait a few minutes till I get to dinner. And what do I want? Do I want fish? Do I want chicken? Do I want a bowl of pasta? And you stop when you've had enough.
Mm-hmm.
Emotional hunger comes on intensely as a craving,
Mm-hmm.
because you're looking to the food to check you out of a situation.
Mm.
So that's usually when we look for the poorer quality foods in the forms of carbohydrates and fats.
Mm-hmm.
Fats feel good, they create satiety. The carbohydrates affect our brain chemistry in such a way that they truly do sedate us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of a, oh my God, I just broke up. And you see those classic movies where the person has
Yeah,
like a pint of Haagen-Dazs and they're stuffing
absolutely.
their face. That's
Yeah,
the emotional hunger where you're filling that filling that emptiness with those kind of comfort, things to numb
yeah,
you out.
exactly. Cravings, on the other hand, can be either physical or emotional.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where we need to get curious.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, you're craving sweets. Usually it's an emotional craving.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Why? Because don't isn't it possible that you are addicted to sweets? Since you've had a sweet, your body's going through and going, "Where's that sweet thing that you had before?"
yeah, well, that's there are two schools of thought
Mm-hmm.
on food addiction.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm not really sure how I feel about it.
Mm-hmm.
My feeling is that we're not so much addicted to the food itself, but we're addicted to how it makes us feel.
Oh, that's interesting. So I'm eating the sugar, and it actually, like you said, it sedates me. It kind of calms me down. You said
Yeah.
carbohydrates sedate me, and what do
Yes.
sugars do again? Sugars give
Well,
me.
sugars turn on your brain. There have been studies that show that sugar,
Hmm.
and we're talking about refined sugar,
Yeah.
affects the dopamine portion of the brain the same way alcohol does.
Oh, wow. Okay, so I have this false sense of happiness. I'm like, I'm happy, or I'm kind of calm through eating sugars or carbs or whatever.
Absolutely.
Okay, got it. So it's really that I'm addicted to that feeling that I get from those things, which versus I see, versus kind of a craving that happens as a result of those things. It's really like, because what I've read is that it's a biological urge. I mean, when we see that, our brain goes, yes, that is a good, good quick source of energy. Go continue going towards that thing. And that's why it's this kind of, feeding
Oh,
frenzy when you get those things.
but that's what I was referring to about the physical craving,
Uh,
okay, let's say when we're nutritionally deprived,
mm-hmm,
okay, let's say that you decided you are going low carb.
mm-hmm,
Okay, you're going to go on a low carb diet. After a given amount of time, your body's going to need the carbohydrate.
mm-hmm.
Okay, your brain is going to call for it because carbohydrates are a
Yeah.
source of fuel
Yeah,
for
your
our
brain
brain,
needs it. Yes.
right? Unfortunately, the brain can't determine whether or not it wants the carbohydrate from a donut or a sweet potato.
Right.
And being that you're carb deprived, chances are you're going to go for the donut.
Right.
Okay. And I really don't mean that in a flippant way at all. I
Yeah.
mean, okay, I'm not trying to be funny about that, but
Yeah.
that's the way it'll go.
Yeah.
Um, so that would be a physical craving.
Right, because
Another,
you depleted yourself from enough
exactly.
carbohydrates. So it's like, I need carbs quickly. So the
Mhm.
donut arises and you're like, yes, this fits the bill.
Right. And then
Uh,
sometimes, we crave salt because we've got a mineral deficiency.
mm-hmm.
So we just might need more calcium, more minerals. Um, Chocolate, believe it or not, could be a manganese deficiency.
Yeah.
So that's why we need to be curious and we need to ask what's really going on. Did I eat enough today? Have I had enough sleep? Did I drink enough water? Um, or did I have a triggering day?
Mm,
Is this emotional? Where is it
mm-hmm.
coming from?
Mm-hmm. So when does that happen for you? Do you do it at the end of the day or mid through the day? When do you go through the self-analysis of what's happening during the day? What's happening? Am I eating the right mix?
In a perfect world,
Mm-hmm.
we would want to be able to address the behavior before it happens. So let's say it's the end of the day and you are just starving and the bag of chips is calling to you.
Right.
It's really important to be able to put space between the thoughts, the thoughts
Mm-hmm.
that morph into the feelings
Yeah.
and the behavior.
Yeah.
If you could delay, I like to say delay, determine, meaning get curious about what's
Mm-hmm.
going on,
Mm-hmm.
and then deflect. What else can I do that's going to help me feel nourished, that's
Ah,
served on a plate?
I see. So it's like before you grab the bag of chips, you kind of say, wait a second, what is causing, I'm determining what's causing this. Oh, I didn't have enough carbs because I'm on this carb starved diet.
Right.
Okay, what are what did you say? Determine? What's the other one?
We'll be curious
Be
and
curious.
deflect.
Deflect.
Yeah,
So
and
the deflect
deflect.
maybe like eat some, I don't know, edamame or something that's
Or
carb.
do something that's not food related.
Mm, mm-hmm.
How can you nourish yourself in a way that's not food related?
Yeah.
This is where the emotional component comes in.
Okay.
This is the why piece. The why piece is a really big piece, CJ, for a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know, and then, when we're looking at the how, the why, and the when,
Mm-hmm.
it's amazing how the what starts to take care of itself.
Mm. So when you've had people go eating in this particular, way, what do they see as the, most people are trying to lose weight, they're trying to be healthier. what happens when you're eating in the proper how, why, and when?
Okay. You realize that it's not about willpower. The success comes when you embrace empowered choice.
Mm-hmm.
So when we are including our body in the conversation, by getting out of our heads, by stripping food of the moral dilemma, getting rid of the shoulds and the shouldn'ts, understanding how we eat when we eat what we choose to eat.
Mm-hmm.
What is honoring the experience we want. We tune into the wisdom of our bodies,
Mm.
and it becomes about empowered choice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Willpower implies restriction. It implies deprivation. Empowerment is about choice and managing instead of being managed.
Right. And I think a critical element that you're mentioning in the empowerment scenario is that you're really tuning into your body, because what are you feeding anyways? Right? It's your body that has a need or a want, and it's really tuning in to your body and figuring out what it needs. And then the 3Ds, it's sometimes your body, your mind may be thinking, I need those potato chips, but your body is just saying, I just need carbs. I don't care what kind of carbs you get me, but get me carbs immediately. But your mind is like, well, that'd be nice to have a donut because that feels so good, because I have a combination of, I'm going to be kind of elated for a short period of time, and I'm going to be kind of numbed out. That kind of feels good right now. So
Right.
it sounds like that's your emotions kind of coming in and
Absolutely.
stealing the show.
And then you know what? A really big one for so many people, and I've experienced this myself many, many times, is
Yeah.
boredom.
Yep. Yep.
I'm just bored.
Yeah.
It's Sunday.
Snack drawers open up. What do I have
Yeah,
in here to eat? I'm bored.
yeah. My partner's watching football,
Yeah.
doing homework. Um,
Exactly.
I'm moseying around the kitchen.
Yeah.
Oh, let me have a handful of nuts here, a handful of popcorn there. And that's okay. But when there are consequences, when we're feeling really badly about it, when
Hmm.
the guilt sets in and the judgment sets in and the fear and anxiety set in,
Hmm.
that's when it's time to step back and say, what am I doing?
Yes.
What does my body really want?
And how is my mind actually harming this whole experience? Which is what I arrived to. I wrote about my blog post, and I actually want to do a call out for folks that are listening that want to actually call in, or since we have a couple more minutes left in the show, would love for you to send over your questions and on chat or call in as well. So we have Mindy Gorman Plutzer talking about her book, The Freedom Promise. And we've been talking all about the how, why, and when we eat. Where were we? I lost track of where we were.
Yeah, well, what I wanted to get to, um, the bottom line of the how, the why, and the when, and honoring our bodies and honoring what our bodies want, I love saying including them in the conversation, really comes down to getting out of our heads. So many
Mm-hmm.
of us, and I see it every day with my clients, there's really a disconnect between our thoughts
Mm-hmm.
and our bodies.
Mm-hmm.
We're eating what we're eating because we think we're supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
We're eating what we're eating because of the latest fad diet on, a fabulous magazine cover. And at the same time, we have to realize that the field of nutrition today is a scientific minefield. I think nutrition is the only field out there where you can have two opposing viewpoints that are each rooted in science.
That's so true.
Right?
That is so true. I was talking to someone who was a vegan, and he was saying you need to eat vegetables and you don't need amino acids. And then I could talk to a paleo person, and that gave me a bunch of different evidence on why you should be
No
eating
question.
all meat. I mean, I think it's completely confusing, but I think going back to your original point, if you actually tune into your body and figure out what it wants, it will tell you. There's a certain amount of faith that you have to have. But, I was navigating my life using this book, and I thought, I had that sweet thing during breakfast, and I thought, well, it's time for lunch. What do I really want? And I thought, actually, what I really want is like a big bowl of mixed vegetables with cottage cheese on it, which
Right.
I've never wanted in my life. But like, I
Yeah.
tuned in, and that's what I wanted, which was so fascinating. And I think some of the thoughts that are kind of, if when you deprive yourself, you think, well, God, what I really want is like a big Reuben, big Reuben sandwich,
Of course.
because that's what I want. But you know what? If you kind of say like, I'm going to eat whatever I'm going to eat when I want to eat, you know what? Then it's a little, I don't know, somehow giving yourself the freedom to eat that. It does a lot. It's kind of a weird thing.
It is, giving yourself permission to eat anything opens up opportunities for you to find integrity to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Do I
Mm-hmm.
really want to do this? Do I really want to feel this way? You know, one of the greatest points that I can make is that self-indulgence in an effort not to feel deprived only deprives us from being the most brilliant version of ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because we're thinking, oh, I'm going to indulge in this, whatever this thing right now to fulfill a temporary need. I'm going to eat the donut because I want to feel a sense of happiness and a sense of calmness. I'm going to eat the donut versus saying, wow, why don't you feel a sense of happiness and calm? What
Okay.
else aside from the donut can you do aside
Right.
from that?
But at the same time, let's make it clear that there is nothing wrong with eating the donut when it's done because you're not looking to soothe something else. You're not looking to nourish another part of yourself.
Oh, that's an interesting way of thinking it. Okay, so
Okay.
so with regard, let's say that you find yourself eating a hot fudge sundae for
Uh-huh.
whatever reason. Either you
Yeah.
weren't conscious and you're eating a hot fudge sundae, or you've eaten a hot fudge sundae, you were conscious you ate a hot fudge sundae. I mean,
Mhm.
how do you deal with that when that happens? When you've eaten something you're like, like you said pasta and my eyes lit up. What? She's eating pasta?
Yeah.
But what do you do when you eat stuff that's kind of, not, and your book has a whole bunch of like ways of healthy eating, but you eat something and it's not super healthy. How do you handle that?
First of all, one part of a meal that is not super healthy is not going to detract from your health.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. But I must say that I do not condone eating artificially sweetened food. I do not condone quote unquote diet foods or fake foods
Mhm.
or foods that our bodies don't know what to do with.
Mhm.
But eating a fabulous bowl of delicious ice cream can be a wonderfully nourishing, sensual experience.
Mhm.
It's when there are consequences that it becomes problematic. And this book is written for the people who feel that they are suffering consequences. And
Mm.
because I want to take that away from them.
Mhm.
We will never experience food freedom when we constantly feel that there are shoulds and shouldn'ts attached to our food choices.
Mhm.
So, my message is in order to fully transform your relationship with food from one mired in confusion to one that is joyous, loving, and free, is to eliminate the fear. Question where that fear came from. What messages were you given? What's the belief system?
Uh,
And look at it as not being true. And that comes from the relationship to self.
hmm.
When our relationship to self is loving and joyous and free, when we can create what I love to refer to as a space of sacred solitude,
Mhm.
we always have some place to come home to where we're feeling safe.
Okay, so let's go back to the hot fudge sundae
Okay.
scenario because I'm curious. So I ate the hot fudge sundae, and the consequences in my mind are like, oh, here's what runs in my head. Oh my gosh, this is probably like 1,000 calories, this hot fudge sundae. This is probably all the calories I'm supposed to consume in a day in this hot fudge sundae. I'm gonna pay for this hot fudge sundae. So instead of that, which is the fear and the run amok, what happens in your mind when you do indulge these things? Like if I were to listen to
Yeah.
your talk, is that, ooh, it's creamy, it tastes salty. I
Mhm.
mean, what is it? Or is there any like, well, tomorrow I'll eat something healthy? I mean, what?
Yeah, no. What I'm going to do is, and I love ice cream. I
Yeah.
mean, ice cream is my thing.
Okay.
Okay, the texture, the taste, I love ice cream.
Hmm.
So I scoop the ice cream into a dish that I really enjoy eating from.
Hmm.
I'm not going to eat it out of the container. I'll ritualize it.
Hmm.
And I eat it slowly and mindfully. And I give myself permission. And I'm able to sense when I've had enough
Mm.
and stop.
Hmm.
And there's no guilt. I truly find pleasure from it. The
Hmm.
guilt is counterproductive.
Hmm.
And letting go of the message, letting go of the lies
Hmm.
about what food is going to do to me is the greatest freedom we can have. It's
Mm.
only food.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I love the analogy of a knife, okay? A knife in the hands of a criminal is a weapon. A knife in the hands of a chef is a tool of artistry.
Hmm.
Okay, the poison's in the dose. It's it's how we treat it, how we treat our bodies, and what we do. So when we eat when we're hungry and we stop when we've had enough, we're honoring our bodies and we're
Mm.
honoring ourselves.
Hmm. Hmm. What are some of the damaging thoughts that you work with a lot of clients? What are the kind of typical thoughts that you hear that you would ask us to declutter ourselves from?
Okay, that we have to be perfect.
Uh, I have
Okay,
to look great because I'm going to my reunion. I have to look perfect for my whatever. That
or
that?
or just I wasn't perfect.
No.
One of the best stories I've heard that really hurts my heart is a woman who came in and she went out for dinner with her mom, her elderly mom, and she ordered fish. And the fish came and it had some oil and a sprinkling of breadcrumbs. And she felt so guilty that she went home and ate a bag of pretzels because
That's
she she
sad. That
she
is
felt
sad.
that, yeah, she felt that she had gone off her diet when she ate a perfectly healthy meal that
Yeah.
her body would have loved, but she attached so much stress to it. So the burden of having to be perfect
Mm,
is one of the
right.
greatest pieces of clutter that we can
Right. I
rid
have to be
ourselves of.
good. I have to eat well. And I have to be perfect in all executing this plan.
Exactly,
Um,
exactly.
okay. Okay. What are some of the other ones? Toxic thoughts.
Fat will make me fat.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Versus eating healthy fats.
that's a really big one.
Mm-hmm.
Fat will make me fat. Clients being so fearful of adding olive oil to their food or, being served something that, vegetables that are sauteed in olive oil. The truth about that is that if you don't put oil on your salad or your vegetables, your body is not going to absorb the fat soluble vitamins A, E, D, and E.
Oh, I never knew that. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
So, you
Whoops.
order a salad, well, there's great vegetables, or you order, steamed spinach and you send it back because it has some olive oil. Again, nutritional wasteland.
Yeah, God, this is fantastic. It's we what a wonderful show. Thank you so much for
Thank
being here.
you.
There's so much I never thought about how I went to a silent meditation and part of that was eating in a mindful way, but they really didn't spend a lot of time on why and why it was important and how it affected nutrition and how in fact all aspects of your life can be a meditation. It's really quite
Right.
beautiful. Um,
So I leave you with one thought.
okay.
Breathe. Conscious breathing.
Mm-hmm.
Breathe out everything and then breathe in the love, accept the love from your food. Food is energy, and just go with it.
What a
And
beautiful soul you are.
honor your body
I
and
love it.
you.
Oh, thank you so much. You're a beautiful soul. So we have Mindy Gorman Plutzer here talking about the Freedom Promise. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you,
What
CJ.
great information.
It means so much to me that you're listening to the show. I would love your support in any way by giving me comments below, or to subscribe to the show, or share the show with friends. Thank you again for your support. Love and blessings.